All right, you guys, it is time for me to do something a little different here. I know that I never cover these kinds of topics, but let's go ahead and hop into it. I have never really been a huge Disney fan, even as a kid. Like, Disney stuff was always kind of a little creepy for me, but, you know, there are people who live, eat, and breathe Disney. I remember being a kid and seeing people's movie shelves back in the day when they had VHS, and they were just completely packed with Disney films. I mean, we're talking about a legitimate collection, an entire wall just blanketed with Disney tapes. So my lack of love for Disney films wasn't really shared with too many people. I do remember watching a few of the classics like Aladdin and The Lion King and thinking they were okay, but there were a handful of them that were just a little much for me, especially like Beauty and the Beast. I'm sorry, I just could not get over how creepy that damn movie was. I mean, when you really think about it, it's pretty damn gross. Oh god, my wine glass is getting pretty damn empty. There you go, nice and full. You love to see it. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. Disney films, just in general, are just not my favorite. But then again, they do hold a very special place in a lot of people's hearts, and I kind of understand why. And I'm not really against modernizing the old classics and retelling them in a little bit different of a way, but still holding true to the original. And they've more or less have done that on some of their remakes. You know, I thought Aladdin did pretty good, and I thought The Lion King was pretty bad, to be honest with you. But the problem with The Lion King that I had is that they did cut out quite a few things. And I'm not going to go over all those things here. That's not what this video is about. This video is about the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. And I'm sure you guys remember this clip from Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. I don't know how you pronounce it, quite a while back.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
So what I gathered about this was this story that they're going to try to tell isn't even going to be remotely close to what it was in the past. And there are many other clips that will solidify this, as Rachel Zegler went on a rampage of interviews just basically hating Snow White in the entirety of the story. But that leads us into today's story that we're going to talk about. Disney pushes back live-action Snow White release date amid actor strike. The film starring Rachel Zegler has had its release delayed from March 22nd, 2024 to March 21st, 2025. So basically a year, which tells me it's going to be a major overhaul from what they were trying to do in the first place. Okay, so let's jump into it. The release of Disney's Snow White live-action remake has been pushed back by a year, and the production studio may have decided to bring back the dwarves that were cut from the script in order to make way for inclusivity. Now, I do want to make it a point. I don't have a problem with inclusivity, but I do have a problem with pandering. But because the story is fiction, I don't mind a few liberties being taken. I don't mind if they change the sex of the dwarves. I don't mind if they change the race of the dwarves. That's not a problem to me. But one controversial thing that I will say here that might bother a few people is that Snow White is supposed to actually be white. And the reason why I say that, before I get too much hate, she was named Snow White because of how white her skin was. It was kind of the point of her name. To race swap Snow White always seemed pretty damn odd to me, but you guys let me know if I'm overthinking it on this one. During production, it was announced that the dwarves would no longer be dwarves, but would be represented by a cadre of diverse individuals. Plenty of backlash from fans ensued. The original animated version was called Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. The new version has simply been renamed to Snow White. One member of the cast, the diminutive Peter Dinklage, had said that having dwarves being played by actual little people would be offensive. As a result, he was the only little person who was cast. Now, Disney may be remaking those characters to better represent the original version. Now, please, for the love of God, make every single cast member who's playing a dwarf be an actual dwarf. I don't care what race or what sex these little people are. I think it is important that you hire them because these people probably don't get a lot of opportunities for jobs like this. This is made for them. And I think it's really messed up that Peter Dinklage, of all people, would try to push that away, considering his role in Game of Thrones was completely based on the fact that he was a little person. And not to dismiss Peter Dinklage's ability to act, because holy crap, Tyrion was the best character throughout the show. I don't care what anybody says. He was the only person I was rooting for from beginning to end. He was made for that role, and he absolutely crushed it. But his attempt here to basically remove every little person but himself into this movie is a bit odd to me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a little bit of narcissism. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's very strange though. Or as Rachel Zegler would say,
Weird, weird. Weird.
Now, of course, I'm going to leave the entirety of this article in the description down below if you guys want to, cruise through it yourselves. But I do want to say, I do think this is a good thing for Disney. You have to take in consideration that the Daily Wire, one of the largest conservative news organizations, if not the largest, has taken upon themselves to make their own version of Snow White. And they have cast Bret Cooper from the Daily Wire to play Snow White, which I am a little weary about. I know Bret has an amazing singing voice, and she is obviously a beautiful woman, despite the fact that everyone thinks that she looks exactly like Ben Shapiro, which, I mean, kinda, yeah. But I guess we'll see when the Daily Wire's version gets released on how good it is. I do recommend you guys go watch the trailer for the Daily Wire's Snow White and the Evil Queen, because it actually does look pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually a little stoked for it. If you guys are really into these kinds of stories, I do recommend you guys check out the YouTuber Nerdrotic. His channel is amazing. He's almost at 1 million subs. Highly recommend. But I will leave you guys with a question, as always. Do you think it's smart that Disney is pulling this movie back and trying to correct some of the issues? Or do you think they should have kept on with the original pandering that they were attempting to do and kept the original cast? Yeah, take a look at them. It's pretty damn bad, isn't it? But as always, you guys, do not forget to hit the like or the dislike button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you hopefully get notified every time I post a new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Weird.